Hey everybody, this video is going to cover what it's like to fly giant scale aircraft, and to me it's over 150 inches. Okay, I know over 80 inches is what most people call giant scale, but for me it's over 150 inches. And if you don't know about my MSL-1, I'm going to use it as basically the example of what it's like to fly really big airplanes. I had a couple of people ask me, can you do a video on what it's like to fly the MSL? But all of you may not know what the MSL is. Well, this is the MSL, and we call it the MSL-1 now because there's an MSL-2. But the MSL-1 had a 197-inch wing, weighed about 70 pounds, 71 to 72 pounds. I have over 1,000 flights on it. If you can't really get a sense of the scale on that picture, this is my daughter holding the right wing when she was younger. And I'm doing a whole video on the design and build of this, so I'm not going to get too technical right now. Basically, oh, that's right. The maximum weight was 76 pounds. That's right. And basically, this is just some stats on it. Originally, it was 68 watts per pound, but 72 watts once I went to the Hacker A100. Essentially, this thing is an absolute dream to fly. Okay. Proportion-wise, I've had some people say the tail's too big on it. If you do the math and look at how short coupled the plane is, the rudder's about the right size. I've had people say it's wrong. Before I actually get into some video we're going to watch, I want to talk about my sponsor, RTL Fasteners. If you go to their website, spend more than $50 on product, and use code DA30, you'll get 30% off. The screws in the bottom is what held every servo and the cowlings on my MSL-1, believe it or not. Great company. So here's some brief video. One of the things about flying big airplanes is your perception. A lot of times a big airplane, you'll think it's a lot closer to you than it is, and it's a quarter mile out. You need a lot of room to fly big model airplanes, 150 inches and bigger. You also need to know how to fly on the wing. A lot of really big model aircraft have not a great power to weight ratio, which basically if it's a semi-symmetrical wing and you've only got 1 or 2 degrees of positive angle of attack, as you go down the runway, the plane will take off on its own. It'll basically just lift off if all the incidences are right. And you just give it a little bit up elevator. If it's a tail dragger, I always give down elevator to get the tail up in the air so that the rudder's in the air of the propeller. And then I use it to steer it down the runway and get it in the air. Once you're in the air, let the wing fly it. You might only have 1 or 2 degrees up nose, and you can climb and get up high and fly. Really big model aircraft that don't have a great power to weight ratio, they can stall pretty easy. So you have to fly rudder, fly the wing, and you need to be a proficient pilot to be able to know where you're going to put the airplane. Always be ahead of the airplane when you're flying giant scale. Don't let it get over the pits. Don't let it fly over people's heads. You need to know where you're going to put that airplane. Okay, and you need to think about your maneuver. You're going to do a big figure eight. Are you entering into the figure eight to not go over the audience? You know, if you're going to do things like hammerheads like I do, are you high enough up that if you come out of it, if you spin it, can you recover? Okay, you need to be so far ahead of every maneuver you're going to do with a giant scale airplane that you just don't accidentally get out over the spectators, the audience, or bystanders. Okay? One of the most important things about my MSL-1 is it's very draggy with all that rigging. So even when I'm on approach to land, I'm about half throttle, and right as I'm getting ready to touch down the wheels on the ground, I'm up between 1/4 and 1/8 throttle. Because if I just chop the throttle on the plane, it will slow down so much, the sink rate will be huge. And I actually have real bungees on landing gear. I could pop a bungee or break the bungee, okay? So you need to just be really, you got to stay ahead of the airplane. I mean, it's not a hard airplane to fly, but you have to stay ahead of it. I have let one of my friends fly it, and they said it kind of creeped them out because they wasn't used to not having any more power. Because, you know, when they climb, a lot of our planes will go straight up. Not my big airplanes. They fly like real airplanes. A Cherokee will not go straight up and roll. I mean, a full-scale Cherokee will not go vertical very long if you ever get to go vertical. So what I want to do at the end of this video here is talk a little bit about the maneuverability of giant scale airplanes. My MSL-1 is awesome to show off, like fly down the runway, drop one wheel on the ground, just go the whole length of the runway on one wheel and then take back off. It's great for doing that. It's got big old barn door ailerons, but those barn door ailerons being so big create a lot of adverse yaw. That's the reason I have to have that big ass rudder. Okay, so when you're flying it, you need to think about it. Look at the size of the aileron right here. It's massive. Now, when I designed this 12 or 13 years ago, I just wanted to build something vintage looking. I never really thought about how many square inches. That wing has more square inches than the Gentle Lady trainer I had, the whole wing when I was a kid. So the ailerons are huge, and the bigger barn door ailerons you have, the more rudder you need for that adverse yaw. Now, when the plane's in the air, it just looks majestic. Everybody's like, wow, that's an awesome airplane. But to tell you the truth, I'm a little bit nervous when I land because I concentrate so much to make sure I don't fly myself into a corner. A, the plane's really draggy. B, I've only got about 7 minutes of normal flying around, and then I need to be thinking about landing. You have to use the rudder. You can see in the video I showed you earlier, quite a bit of rudder is going on in there if you want it to look right. And you need to have plenty of room to fly it. Okay, you really need plenty of room to fly it. I've had so many people see me basically land it on a dime. That's because I have 1,000 flights on this airplane. I have one time flown this plane off a soccer field, a softball field with some friends and a school official who wanted to see if I could do a demo for some kids. And it was a peach to fly in and out of that little softball field. But I have 1,000 flights on this airplane. Okay. And I ultimately didn't want to do it because I'd have to fly over a building and I just didn't feel safe. Now I've demoed this for kids off different places, but that particular test flight, I didn't feel good because I had to fly over a building to be able to show it off to kids. And that was a no-no in my book. And here's another picture of it flying. As I said before, it's got bungees for the landing. You do not want to make really hard landings in this airplane. And basically in closing, everybody, this airplane it flies like a real airplane. So to me, it's easy. To a novice, if you built something like this, you need to have a boatload of room until you get probably 30 or 40 flights on it and understand its flying characteristics. If you're going to do this, what I would suggest is get a really huge open place. If you live near Muncie, Indiana, go to the AMA headquarters because I test fly most of my airplanes up there. Find a place that has just an enormous amount of room. Take off, fly the pattern 2 or 3 times and land. Take off, fly the pattern, and land. Practice takeoff and landings. You want to really understand 2 things. How well it climbs and how do I land it. Don't get up there and start doing hammerheads or anything silly. Learn, basically it's like a currency flight. You need 3 takeoff and landings to make sure you really know how to take off and land. Then go up and do stalls. And then do figure 8s. Walk into it slowly. Okay? So I want to keep this video short. Just talk about what it's like to fly this. I'm going to do a video on the MSL2, what it's like to fly it, because it flies totally different. This is a draggy pig. The MSL2 is really clean, but it still doesn't have much power. It will outclimb this airplane a little bit, but it still flies on the wing. Just a little bit different landing. You don't have to have quite as much power with the MSL2 as you do the MSL1. So thanks for watching my videos, everybody. I hope you like them and love them. And please subscribe and like and all of that stuff. And let me know in the comments or email me what videos you want to see and I'll make them. But this one covers what it's like to fly a giant scale airplane and some of the things you might want to consider. Okay? Have an awesome day, everybody. Rock on. Take care and be safe. See you next time.